Meeple Nation Podcast, episode 577, our top 5 network or route building games.
Welcome, citizens, to Meeple Nation. Grab your favorite beverage, pull up a chair, warm up those dice, and join us at the game table as we discuss board games and the board gaming world. Each week, the hosts of Meeple Nation share their love for board games and the amazing memories that come from playing games with some very outstanding people. Let us now join our hosts in their natural habitat, the game table.
This week we are in the middle of point of our discussion of network and route building games. We had quite the discussion last week, and this week we are once again focusing on route and network building games, but this time we're focusing on our top 5. Andy is not here, so we're gonna have to just tell you his top 5. We can't really talk to him too much, but
They're okay.
they're okay. Yeah,
So they're all right.
yeah,
It's fine.
We'll just stick with that for sure.
Not as good as our top 5.
So let's return to the game table and continue our discussion of network and route building games at the game table.
I love it. We are the hosts of Meeple Nation. I am Douglas Stewart.
I'm Nathan Howard.
And when our powers combine, we do indeed become the world's most okayest podcast with the world's most okayest website. So head on over to meeplenation.com and check us out. There you will find links to all of our episodes. There's some links there to the socials. You can find out a little bit more about us. You can always click on that Patreon link and become a patron of the show, something that we would very much appreciate. We love our patrons and all that they enable us to do. Links to the old Discord, which has been taken off and doing really well. And as always, we love to hear from you. So either jump on Discord or fire us an email at meeplenation@gmail.com.
That reminds me, I'm going to totally go off script here.
Oh boy.
Let me see if I can find this email just real quick.
This could be dangerous.
It could be dangerous. So our friend Ben Stein emailed the other day, and he says, I continue to enjoy and listen to the show every week. I'm proud to be a patron, which we're grateful of you, Ben.
Thank you, Ben.
That. One of our longest patrons. And but he brings up this point. He says, with the tariff situation making the future prices of board games unclear, I've decided to buy a number of games on my wish list sooner rather than later. So I brought...
Sounds like justification to me.
Yeah. That's so my motto. So I've bought I've bought a few games such as Bomb Busters, Freedom 5, and The Mandalorian.
Oh, yeah.
Oathsworn has been on my list for a while, and I wanted to be able to get it before it wasn't available.
Okay, sure.
So he went to the website, the publisher's website, Shadowborn Games, and found the standard game was in stock at the normal price of $149 plus the $25 shipping. I've ordered it, and he expects to get it soon. Great. So
it's an awesome game. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Let us know what you think. That's a great game. That's one of our favorites.
Yeah, and that's what I told him as well. And his suggestion was that my tip is to always check the publisher's website, because there are a lot of games, Kickstarters that have been fulfilled, and now these companies are having have back stock, and they need to kind of get rid of it. Sometimes you can get a deal.
Yeah. Well, and like, depending on where the publisher is located, they've already... That stuff's already been made and shipped across the ocean. Yeah. Tariffs aren't going to affect that. Yeah. So, it's a great idea. I always love going to the publisher's websites and checking stuff out. I remember when I was looking for the all-in special edition that had everything in it for Let's Go to Japan. I couldn't find that anywhere. I could find the base game. They have a base version of that, but the deluxeified everything 3-box version that even has those nice little ceramic cups and all that. So that version I couldn't find anywhere, and I just went to their website, and lo and behold, it was just right there. It was just okay, well, there you go. And I ordered it with gladness in my heart.
With gladness in your heart. Yeah. That's because when we played it, that was at the time you're like, well, somebody else is getting it, I'm not getting it. And then we played it, and you're like, oh, I should have that FOMO. was real at that point.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's true. It happens.
Yeah. But Ben does go on, and I told him that was a really good game, and he's like, I'm glad to hear it's worth it. I will let you know how I like the games. I'm going to save it until Christmas, which is what I often do for games I buy throughout the year.
Wow.
That's
some good discipline.
Yeah.
Really?
That's much. Well, I mean, I guess
that.
I do the same thing. I mean, they just kind of sit and shrink here behind me or over there, and
every day's Christmas in Nathan's game room.
But he did say he wanted to think that he thought our listeners could benefit from the tip of checking the publisher's websites.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that's a great idea. So if you're looking for a game and you're after it, and you're looking for retailers, going to those publishers would be probably at this time of the year. Now we're not a political show, and we're not going to talk politics. People did not tune in to listen to us berate one side or the other. People tuned in to listen to board games, and that's all we're going to talk about is board games. But the tariff issue is a struggle for a lot of companies.
Yeah.
And so,
and there's a lot of people talking about it right now, naturally, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just topic of the day.
Yeah. And we're not going to spend much time into it at all. And I'm sure if you're polarized to one side or the other, I'm sure X is full of ways to vent that. And
there is an echo chamber for you somewhere,
for sure.
Go find it and echo away.
Find out whatever works for you. But my point is that publishers there are a lot of publishers that are having hard times. There's been a lot of cuts.
Yeah, there is. Yep.
And so something that if there is a game that you want, definitely go to the publisher's website and every little bit of trickle in to support them in these tough times might be something to keep them around.
Yeah, you never know.
And it is going to be a rough year. And so we'll have to see how it all turns out in the end. Hopefully things work out.
Yep.
And we're all back on track. But
it's great advice from Ben. Great advice from Ben to check publishers' websites.
Absolutely.
And also, Ben, you have way more discipline than Nathan, because Nathan does not need the threat of tariffs to justify buying the stuff on his wish list early.
You buy it early and save it. Some of them get opened.
Yeah. Yeah, some of them do. Yeah. Just when they're ready to get played. There's none of this save for Christmas stuff that's going on. Good for you. That's amazing, Ben.
So it's good times. Good job. So that was a little side tangent.
Yeah, I like it. A little mailbag bonus. Yeah.
And, but I thought Ben offered some great insight and some helpful information. So I think that was worth us sharing for sure.
Excellent.
But anyways, let's get back to it. It is. I'm looking at my watch now. It definitely looks like it's highlight 30.
It is. So, we'll just share those highlights sitting around this amazing Game Toppers table, who is a sponsor of the show. And we love our sponsorship with Game Toppers. They are amazing. Go check them out at GameToppersLLC.com. Just wanted to plug that really fast before we move
quick.
on.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. I mean, we've decked this out now. Maybe we should take some pictures of around.
We should.
Sometime.
Yeah.
There's two monitors over there. There's a monitor over there. There's some stage lights. The microphones are attached to the table. This is no longer a modular portable unit.
It's pretty stationary.
It is.
It's not going anywhere.
Yeah, it has become a permanent device. And this, hopefully, all goes well, this should be our first video release.
Yeah, we've said that before.
I haven't said it before.
We teased it.
We've teased it. But this one, I am like...
Are we pretty...
I'm like 90% sure this one is going to be released in
That
its
makes me
video
nervous,
form.
man. I didn't go to the makeup booth before we started.
Yeah, no,
recording.
I didn't either. You and we went outside and looked at my sprinklers for a little bit.
Yeah, not doing yard work.
Yeah. So
it is a face made for radio. So,
and everybody will soon know that
go.
Starting today.
Yeah.
So go back to the listening audio.
Yep. Hear the screeches of horror already.
Run away.
What
bravely.
have they done? What is this abomination? Well, it's always in podcast form.
Yes.
But it is, as you say, Highlight 30. And you should start us off because I'm excited about what you want to talk about. I might have some things to say about this too.
I think you probably will. We did get the chance to play SETI, The Search for Extraterrestrial Life. We've played it twice now.
Good. It's so good.
I very much like it. I enjoyed my second play better because Andy wasn't playing. But
this is becoming a familiar refrain, apparently.
It is.
Yeah.
Andy's, there's a lot of games that really click for Andy, and this was one of them.
Yeah.
And From the Moon was another one. It wasn't as bad as From the Moon.
No, it wasn't
Brad,
as bad as that.
But I felt like I was doing good. And then when we were scoring, and I'm just like, all right, Andy, you won. Stop.
Well, it was okay. In fairness, it was a pretty competitive score the entire game until we had one of the aliens that got discovered was the one that gives you a bunch of end game bonus stuff.
Right.
But then it's kind of interesting because it gives you opportunities for a ton of end game scoring. But as a penalty, you lose 1/10 of your points.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that is a steep price to pay. But then when I saw how Andy played it, which was, well, I'm just going to get a bajillion points, and 1/10 of a bajillion points still kicks your butt, So it was like, oh yeah, you're right. That was a good move.
Yeah.
You got
Even
it.
with losing 1/10 of his points, it was quite a defeat.
Yeah, it was quite a defeat. I still loved it though.
I did too.
Yeah. And the second game was, I thought, much better. Did I win the second one?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
I took second. I beat Brad. That's all that matters.
Okay. You did beat Brad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I like this game because there is the asymmetric of it where the board is set up completely different. I like that when you were showing us because the first time we went over to your place, it was already set up.
Mm-hmm.
At Andy's house the other day, we were setting it up there together, and you open the rule book. There's a QR, you scan, and it will tell you how to set up the board.
Yeah, it's great. It just takes you to a website. You click a button and it does a random, it randomizes the board, which is something you're supposed to do during setup anyway. You just do it on your own.
Yeah.
But I like that you can hit that button and it just gives you something completely laid out already and ready to go. And it worked really good. We set it up. It was awesome.
Yeah. And I was actually surprised because the setup is quite exuberant,
exhaustive,
involved. Involved. Yeah, that's a great word.
Yeah,
we'll go with involved. And it is nice that it has that that option to be able to just have it all laid out and be able to refer to it. Boom, do it. I like the aliens that are asymmetric. So
I really
they're
like
face
that part
down, and there's a total of 6 aliens. 5 aliens.
Yep.
And so you don't know which 2 aliens are going to show up in the game until later on when there's enough evidence discovered about extraterrestrial life that you'll reveal one alien, and then later you'll reveal the other alien.
Yep.
And they each change the game, right? Each alien introduces, there's
quite
different
drastically
ways to score.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very drastic changes. And not like the initiative, right? Where we were in the middle of the game, all of a sudden we got to stop and read 3 pages of rules. There's a little card and does have some little nuance. And as you get more familiar with it, it's going to become much quicker.
Totally. Yeah. Well, and honestly, after a couple times playing with each one of those aliens, it's really just like, okay, shuffle the cards, throw out the tokens, and you're ready to go. I mean, you wouldn't even need to reread all the stuff in that little card. But
I did like how each of them was different.
Yep.
And the way they play and the way they change the game makes it, I think, very, very replayable. Yeah. And just the game overall, I found very exciting and enjoyable. And I just need to get better at games, apparently.
This is one that I love. I mean, you talk about, obviously we're not going to do like a how to play the thing here, but like if you start breaking it down, multi-use cards, love multi-use cards, right? You got free actions. You can toss cards for benefits that are listed up in the corner. You can pay cards out, paying their expenses. They got really powerful abilities on them. Stuff that like, you're looking at a handful of cards and you're like, oh, okay, like this is interesting. I could do this. This sets up some interesting stuff. This helps me with this strategy. This helps me with that strategy. They just give you, I think, really great options in how you want to play out those cards. A lot of the cards have missions on them, which is also an intriguing thing. And a lot of the cards have both, right? You play it out, you get an ability, you get a benefit, and you get some sort of ongoing mission effect, or, something you can eventually cash in for a reward, or that you can, cash in for smaller rewards as you do certain things. So multi-use on the cards, brilliant. I absolutely love that. I thought that I think that the like center of the board where you're moving your probes around, I think that's all really interesting with how you're, because all that shifting, right? You have those discs and the middle of the board is always changing. And so it's like, like I know that the next time that disc spins, I'm going to be closer to the planet that I want to get to. So maybe I spend this turn doing this other thing and see if it'll spin. And then I don't have to use as much movement to get to that planet that I want to get, whatever the case may be. The way that the technologies work, there's on your board, you have 3 areas that each have 4 different technologies that you can eventually get. And each one of those technologies, I think, affects the game in really big ways. The first time that we played, I was just like, well, I'm just going to avoid asteroids. That's dumb. Why would I need to upgrade that? And then both you and Andy upgraded that ability right out of the gate. And it was like, you were getting publishing points for moving through asteroids and you could move out of them freely. And I'm trying to like work around all the asteroids and just like, I'm just not going to go there. And it was like, well, that was stupid. So that was like the first tech I got when we played the second game. Time, right. So I think there's so much discovery in how you can play with all those technologies. We already talked about the asymmetry of the aliens, which I think again is brilliant. There's 5 that came in the base box. This game's been successful enough. There's more that'll be coming. That would be silly for them not to at least do a mini expansion where they introduce more of those. If not, just add a whole bunch more stuff. I really enjoy this style of game where like there's not a duplicate card in the deck, where like everything's unique. The artwork was great. The components are really good. Those little data discs, everything on it, I think felt really good. The only thing is it does use like you have energy and coins, and those are just little cardboard pieces, at least for the base version that I bought. I don't know if there's a deluxe version that has better, but that was something that I did go out and order some upgraded parts for.
Huh, well, you should have just used your iron clays.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Well, that would work for the coins. The energy might be... I could. Actually, you're right. I could just use the iron clays. That'd be a good substitute. I need to use those more for stuff. But my point is just that I think that might have been the only thing that I was like, okay, maybe that's a little disappointing. Everything else, top notch. Art, components, everything on this, that was really good. Cards are fun. It's a great game. I really enjoyed SETI.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I look forward to playing again. And we'll see if I get any better, or maybe I'll get worse. I don't know. We'll see. But I very much enjoyed playing it, and SETI was exceptional. And I can totally see why it was on so many people's top on their last year's 100%. List. And I wish we had gotten to it sooner now.
Yeah. Yeah. I got to it as fast as I could. Okay.
I know.
Yep. It really is an excellent game. Highly recommended. Actually, yes. Definitely check it out. If not, just go pick up a copy. It's wonderful. Well, that was me really piggybacking off of your highlight, Nathan. So I will maybe for my highlight, I will just mention that I have been diving back into the world of LCGs. I've had just a little bit of a break, a little reprieve, and I don't know if it's just like springtime. I don't know if there's something in the water. I don't know what is going on, but like right now I am so excited about LCGs. Like so this is living card games, right? And I think like with Arkham Horror, they've just changed it to the card game. The Marvel Champions still has I would still call that a living card game because they still have packs coming out like very, very frequently. Lord of the Rings is also, I think, just the card game at this point. So probably the only one that's like an LCG is really Marvel Champions. Anyway, all of that aside, I'm super stoked about these. Late last year, so this was November, December, I started playing through all of the Marvel Champions campaigns. I was like, okay, I'm going to get through them all. I got through Rise of Red Skull, and I got through the second one, which was it's the Guardians of the Galaxy's Most Wanted, I think is what it's called. And then I got into Mad Titan's Shadow or Mad Titan or whatever the third one is. I got about halfway through that one, and then I had to clear out space because I needed other things to play and stuff, and it just kind of sat on the side table for a little while until I sort of lost the momentum and put it away. Well, I busted that back out. I played a bunch of missions, just one scenario at a time kind of stuff to test a bunch of the heroes that I hadn't played yet. Had so much fun. Dove back into that Titan's Shadow, Mad Titan, whatever it is, and finished that campaign. had a great time. I was playing Adam Warlock and Ironheart, and it was like really, really fun. I always play 2 hands when I'm playing solo, so I do 2 characters. The next campaign is the Spider-Man campaign. It's the Sinister Motives. It's all the web slingers, and I have a lot of excitement. I don't
remember if I have that one. That one's an older one, right? Is it an older or is it a newer?
It's the 4th expansion that came out of 8. So it's kind of midway through the cycle of like I think it came out at this point. It's probably been 1.5 years, 2 years ago.
I can't remember if I had that one or not.
Yeah, because you kind of collected some of the earlier stuff.
So I had the Green Goblin and the King.
Yeah, the Once and Future King.
Yeah, the Once and Future King, which I loved that title.
Yeah, the title's awesome. Actually, those side scenarios have been a little disappointing. I'm not going to lie. For me, I think, and I actually think for the community at large, they've been a little disappointing. That one was, I think, the best one.
Okay.
So, but I'm really excited to jump into that. I've got stuff set up. I'm just trying to decide what heroes I want to play for that, because at this point there are almost 60 heroes to choose from.
Yeah.
Because they've gone through all of the Avengers, Guardians,
the X-Men.
Now they have all the X-Men stuff. They've kind of done all that. So there are a lot of characters, all the web slingers, everything. So I've got to decide on a couple of heroes to play for that. It would be a lot better if I could find other people who wanted to play it with me. Sometimes Brigham will play that one with me. He likes that one, my son. But anyway, I need to find a willing partner and play through that campaign.
Yeah, no, I would totally enjoy doing that.
I bet you would. You're a big Spider-Man fan.
Yeah, for sure.
And that
one does tickle my fancy more.
And this one has all of the all of those heroes, all the variations, right? You got Peter Parker and Miles Morales and Spider-Pig and Scarlet Spider and Gwen. Which one's Gwen?
Spider-Gwen or
Spider-Gwen.
There's can't remember her
Spider-Woman. Actually, Silk is coming out. She's not out yet. She just released.
Yeah,
I haven't
just released.
Yeah, I haven't gotten that one yet. So maybe that's one of the characters I'll play through that. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, I've been really excited about all that. Arkham Horror. The Deans and I got together the other day and played through the first scenario of the Drowned City, and it was so good. It was it was amazing. And they did this really cool, like the first mission anyway is really great homage to the very first. Like if you buy the core box of the game, you get a little 3-part campaign called Night of the Zealot.
Right.
And the first
played that one like 3 times.
Yeah.
You always start with new players, and then the group fizzles apart.
It's the best for new players because you either catch them and you can play a quick campaign, or you learn really quickly that they're not going to make it through a whole thing, and then you don't feel as bad about it. But the story begins in Night of the Zealot is like, Arkham, it's a hot summer and everyone's cranky, and this is kind of like that gritty noir kind of language that they're using and stuff. The first episode of the Drowned City is kind of a throwback to that, and it actually uses a lot of those core box cards. You get out the base game and you pull a lot of the cards out to play through that first scenario, and it's really good. We've only played one scenario of it, but it's awesome. It's going to be one of my favorite campaigns.
That's awesome. That's great. I love it when those build.
Yeah.
Right. And the excitement continues, and it's so much better when those expansions are great and keep you involved.
Yeah.
As opposed to those that just kicking out more of the same stuff. So.
Yeah. They're always trying new and innovative stuff, and I just love that. And there's been some misses, right? I mean, I think they really stretched themselves doing Scarlet Keys, and I think Scarlet Keys was kind of a flop. Really? There's some good stuff in there for sure, but I think it was a little bit of a flop just because they were kind of reaching for something. You could tell what they were going for. Some of the campaigns get a little word heavy. There's some things like that, but for the most part, this is just a great game, and I'm really excited to be jumping back in. I've created a couple of characters, and I'm going to start running through Dunwich and kind of start over Dunwich, Carcosa. I think it's Forgotten Age. Some of those I'm going to just start kind of making way through them. So
that's great.
I'm really excited. Anyway, I said I was just going to mention LCGs really fast, and that turned into a whole thing. And then I have all the stuff for Lord of the Rings, and I've learned how to play it, and I've played scenarios and I love it. I think it's great. And with the kind of this re-release thing that they've been doing, without going too much into it, they've been kind of re-releasing all the packs or the pertinent stuff, but they've been introducing campaign modes, so you get some little perks in between, like stories and scenarios and stuff like that. Makes it a little more. I think it makes it a little more intriguing to play those. And so
does it follow the Lord of the Rings story, or does it have offshoots?
Yes. Yeah, it does. So both.
Okay.
Right.
Good.
Yeah. So you can build a character and just kind of play like in this particular story that doesn't really have anything to do with like the books but it's set in Middle Earth and has familiar characters and races and all that kind of stuff. But they do have that was 3 of the big boxes that they re-released. They took all the stuff that had been released prior and kind of repackaged and condensed it into like 3 core boxes. Was, Fellowship of the Ring, Two Towers, and Return of the King. So I, can't wait to make my way through those. So yeah, I'm still kind of riding the high too. Like I've been playing them a ton lately, and I don't see it stopping anytime soon. I'm pretty excited about them.
That's great.
So anyway, that's been a lot of cards, a lot of deck building at my house lately.
Well, it's good times. I remember those days with the old Star Wars customizable card game.
Yeah. Just
sitting on the floor at the kitchen table, just with cards galore, trying to find that perfect combo and try to and deck building was so much fun.
Yeah. Oh, it's half the party. How we log all of our games. There are times when I've sat down and just like looked at cards and deck building kind of theory craft, and you're putting all this stuff together. And I'm like, that was so fun. I should log that as a play.
I should log that as a play. I won.
I won. Anyway, good times.
All right. Well, with that, do we want to move on to our top 5?
Let's do it.
All right. We're already a half hour in, and we're still, we haven't even gotten to our top 5 yet.
That's all right. Those were great highlights. I think the top 5 is going to go pretty quick. So we kind of talked about this when we were introducing network and route building games. We own and play enough of these that I think it's worth having the conversation, but I don't know that this is any of our like this isn't like a mechanism that like, oh, it's a route building game. Oh, I'm in, not in the same way that like a deck builder would be or something like that. So,
or campaign driven game.
Yeah. Campaign game, dungeon crawl, that kind of thing. So, I think we've got some fun games here to talk about for sure, but I don't know that it'll be too long-winded. So,
all right. Well, let's start with mine. I'm going to go first.
You do it.
I'm going to kick off with Attica. Attica is a great game that I very much love. Attica, you have the deck building, or not the deck building. You mentioned deck building, so I got stuck on that. There it is. The route building and network building is because you are trying to establish a connection between 2 different shrines on the board. And if you were the first player to connect a path of your buildings to between 2 shrines, then you win. Or if that doesn't work out, the first player to get all of their buildings onto the table. This is a game that I have loved ever since it first came out. It came out in 2003. So that has been out for, they really need to do a 20-year reunion for this, or a 20-year anniversary, a 25-year anniversary. We're almost to that.
Well, I thought this got reprinted.
It did get reprinted as U.S. Telegraph.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
So does that count?
No, I guess it's just doesn't feel the same. How
long ago was U.S. Telegraph though?
Let's see. U.S. Telegraph was 2018. Oh
yeah. See, they gave it that. You got at least till 2028. You got 3 more years, Nate, before you can.
Yeah, and I really hope. I love this game. It could definitely go for Arcane Wonders redo, like where you have all the, like what they did with Castles of Burgundy, or what they're doing with Puerto Rico.
Oh yeah, Awaken Realms.
Awaken Realms. Sorry.
Yeah.
I said Arcane Wonders.
Yeah. Get the Awaken Realms treatment.
Touch. Yes, it needs the Awaken Realms touch.
I might be in. So this is a game that's been a little controversial in our game group. I've only played it twice. We played it once here at your house, played it once at BGG Con, and both times I like it. I think it's totally a fine game. It's not like my favorite game, but I think it's absolutely a fine game. This is one that Andy just doesn't like the sort of everyone kind of is picking on the leader kind of thing.
It does have that kind of a style. And you do go back in history in 2003. It was that was a common thing with a lot of games. You look at, especially you go back before the hobby was even really fully what it is today. Even what it was in 2000 is, you look at all the Milton Bradley games, every single one of those was, it's a very aggressive, take that. I'm going to be the winner. I'm going to dominate. I'm going to be the Monopoly. I'm going to be the winner of the game of life. All those that mechanic or that style of play was always very key. And so early on, there was a lot of that. And as time has gone, that the hobby has definitely expanded and provided a lot more avenues for victory, a lot more avenues for play. And so, yeah, this definitely has, if you start to take the lead in a multiplayer game,
everybody's incentivized to stop you.
Yes, everybody.
Because if you're about to take that, because if you're about to finish the route that we're talking about, right, that means you're going to win the game. So yeah, I mean, naturally, that's what people are going to do. Yeah,
and so it is frustrating. I know our friend James Clark, same thing, that he had a game where he went and he had it, and then everybody teamed up to stop him, and then he was going another way, and so he's like, yeah, I've got it this way. Everybody teamed up and stopped him, and then Richie was able to sneak into air and win. And so I get that.
Sure.
And that is why this game shines at 2 players.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
It is an exceptional 2-player game.
Yeah.
And Brent Mayer, one of our original 3 podcasters, he and I would be able to pull this game off the shelf, put it on the table, and in 10 minutes be putting it back onto the shelf, because we could just bust through that game and play it that quick.
Nice.
Yeah. And I wish I was logging my plays back then.
Yeah, I probably have hundreds of plays.
Yeah. Well over 100 plays of this game. Yeah. And still very much enjoy this game.
That's great.
But yeah, Attica is just great. I highly suggest it. And like I've mentioned, it does shine at 2 players.
Excellent. Awesome. Well, I would not mind playing this again sometime. I have to kind of reread the rules or have it taught to me a little bit. But
I can totally do that.
I totally liked this game.
I can teach this one in my sleep.
So, and it was fast.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's something to be said about it. Yeah. That was an excellent number 5. Andy's number 5 is Windmill Valley. This is not one I've had the opportunity to play. He really raves about it. So I don't know. Have you played this one?
I have played this one. And I see his appeal for it.
Okay.
I think it's a good game. It's I don't have the Andy love for it.
Okay.
But I would play it again. And Windmill Valley, I think, is a great game. And there's Greg had it, and Greg orders all of his geeked out bits for it, and nice. His looks really nice. And he can't buy games anymore, but he can sure
bling out the ones he has.
Yeah, he can maximize those games that he has.
Excellent.
But yeah, so shelf space is limited, but if you just make the box more full, that works out for him.
Excellent.
You don't want to lose any of that empty space that's in that box. But yeah, Windmill Valley, good. I can't remember it enough to explain it, but it was good. It's
Andy's number 5.
Yeah.
My number 5 is Railroad Inc. And in particular, I like the challenge versions of these. So there was the original blue and red versions, and then they did the challenge green and yellow versions. I believe I've got those colors correct.
I believe so.
They're
right over there.
But the challenge versions in particular. So Railroad Inc. fantastic little route building game. You roll the dice. It's a roll and write. So you roll the dice and you are building your route out on the board, trying to connect roads and rails to create the longest paths and connect the most connections. Complete. Kind of on the side of the board. You're trying to connect everything better than everybody else, I guess. But the challenge edition has some things that I really it elevated it, I think, in some really important ways. There was the universities that let you, if you could cross those off, it let you reuse some of those special, like the 4-way intersection, those that are up at the top.
Yellow version?
So actually both the green and yellow had that.
I don't know if I've played either of those.
They both have, so each one of them has the universities. They also each have the factories. So if you cover a factory, you can reuse one of the dice that was rolled that round. So if you've got one in particular like piece that is just like works really, really well, try to put one of them on a factory and you can reuse that piece twice.
Oh, wow.
So that is, I think, really, really great. And then it also had like the little houses or neighborhoods. I can't remember exactly what it called them, but basically if you can put like an intersection, the little black square in the middle of the block, you get some extra points for that. In addition, both of those introduced a whole bunch of not achievements, objectives. So you randomly select some objectives, and if you can meet those objectives, you get some extra points for doing that. And then when these two versions came out, they also released with a whole slew of extra little modules, right? Like the little like in the original blue that came with like rivers, and the red came with lava.
Volcanoes.
Yeah, and the green and the yellow each have their own little thing. But then there were also all these little dice packs that released. I want to say there was close to about a dozen of them, and they're just 2 dice that you can add into any game, and it like adds like airports and skylines or electricity, or I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff, deserts and whatever.
Have to look these up.
It gamified it and made it really, really fun. My wife and I have made it through, I think, about half of all those modules. And again, I just think this is the way to play it. I think if you're going to jump into Railroad Inc. and you like roll and rights in particular, if you like that route building thing, it's definitely a game you should check out. But in particular, you should check out the Challenge Edition. So that would be Lush Green or I don't know, Vibrant Yellow or something yellow. I don't remember what the yellow version was, but definitely go check those out. That's my number 5, Railroad Inc. Challenge.
Lush Green, Shining Yellow.
Shining Yellow. There it is.
I'll have to go to Horrible Guild, their website, and see if they have those little 2-packs on their website.
They should. I actually think you can get. I don't believe there was anything, because they did run those as a Kickstarter. I don't believe there was anything exclusive.
Okay.
I don't believe. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure everything they ran in that Kickstarter went to retail. So you should be able to pick stuff up.
Yeah, I have the boxes, but you talk about these little the little things.
Yeah, they're like, and they're fun. They're like, one of them's like an arcade. Right. So it has like almost like little Pac-Man pieces that move around on the board, like things like that. So, I mean, they just kind of, you could tell they just had fun with it.
Well, good. That's the way, that's what games are for.
Yeah.
All right. I'm trying to stall as I'm looking this up.
Yeah. I was going to say, it's your number 4.
All right. Let me get back to the list then. My number 4 is Loot. Loot is a fun game. The route building is interesting in the fact that it is not necessarily a continuous path of my Vikings, but on the board, if there's a Viking out, regardless of whose Viking it is, I can play my Viking adjacent to any of those endpoints. Anywhere along that path, I can place my Vikings. And then there are resources that you're going to want to collect. There's going to be, drawing a blank.
Wood and ore.
There's wood and ore.
All the usual things.
And trees.
Okay.
Which is wood.
The kind of things Vikings would need to build ships and weapons, right?
Yeah, yeah. And you use these to build structures and to be able to build boats. And these boats are you're going to have them on your board, and they're going to want to be surrounded by resources that you've picked up so that you can use those resources. You can use your ore, or you can use your axes, or you can use your the trees for wood to build different structures.
I think so. We've established that trees make wood.
Are wood. Yes,
okay.
Yeah. Just so everybody's clear, trees are wood. Unless you get those rubber trees, and then they're still wood.
It's a little different.
Yeah. But this is a great game because you're on a race to you have a set number of Vikings that you're going to put out. And once you're done with your Vikings, you're done with your Vikings. But then you're going to you're going to score all of these boats that you've put on. They're going to have points on them, and they're going to augment the resources, the value of the resources that you've put on the board. And the buildings that you've built, if you can surround those, or not necessarily surround them, but they require certain resources to be around them. And if you can complete them, they're going to give you points. And then you also have the number of axes or your strength that your Vikings have. And if you can get the most strength, that's going to give you points. Very quick, fun little game. It has a BGA implementation, which is really nice. I really like this game. This is one that I've talked to you about, and you've expressed interest to play. Sure. And apparently I have just snubbed you in that and said, I'm going to keep this to myself. But this is a great game.
Jerk.
Yeah.
Greedy jerk.
Yeah. So I do need to get this to the table with you. I think you will really like this game. Yeah. But it doesn't take very much time, and the play is very very clear. And it's just
excellent.
It has a level of strategy as where you're trying to claim resources, and what you don't want to get too close to allow your opponents to get to those resources. You want to build your own path. You have resources, or you have bonuses that you can get for having a longest path, a connection of 4 of your Vikings, and then you want to connect to 2 towers, and so you have to have a complete path between these 2 towers, and then you'll put those 2 towers on your not the 2 towers, but you'll put 2 lookout towers onto your board because it's Vikings, not.
So what happens when Frodo throws the ring into Mount Doom?
then you win the game. I mean that's you either you win or die by the ring.
Excellent,
and as it should be.
Yeah. When did the orcs? Where are they?
This is before the orcs. The orcs are still in hiding. It's during the day. Or no, I guess it's the trolls that can't come out during the day. The orcs can come out during the day.
Well, this really derailed.
It did.
It is one I'd like to play. I mean, you've talked about the BGA implementation. My policy is always to play it at the table before I even try it online. So as soon as we can get this to the table, I'd definitely be down with checking this game out. Yeah. It does look pretty good. Andy's number 4 is higher on your list, so we'll skip it for now.
Okay.
My number 4 is Ticket to Ride Japan. So we've talked about Ticket to Ride. We talked about that last episode, I believe.
Yep, we did.
It's kind of the king of the route builders in some ways. I would make that argument.
The grandfather for sure.
The grandfather. There you go. Definitely. Ticket to Ride, I think it's a fine game. I have some kids who really like to play it, or liked, past tense, to play it. I'm not sure how they feel about it anymore.
It's a great gateway game.
It really is. And I appreciate Ticket to Ride for what it is. I think that it is a good game to break out when you're, playing with non-gamers. I still think it's a good game. I have several versions of it on my shelf. They'll always stay on my shelf. Yep. I'm not getting rid of them, and they do get played from time to time. I do think that these are good games. Ticket to Ride Japan is one we actually do pull out and play a little more often. I have sort of a particular affinity for all things Japan, having lived there for a couple of years. I think that it's wonderful. I like that theme and everything. And I had high hopes for this when it came out, because I picked this up in my earlier. I mean, it didn't release that long ago, but it was back when Ticket to Ride was still kind of a novelty for me a little bit. And I had high hopes for it, and it didn't disappoint. It is my favorite version of Ticket to Ride, with one exception.
Mine.
We'll keep it spoiler free.
All right.
But the thing that this does that I think is really cool is it's your typical route building, just like all the Ticket to Ride games. But in this one, there's the Shinkansen, the bullet train.
Nice.
And the bullet train is built, and you are incentivized to contribute to the building of the Shinkansen, because if you don't, you will be penalized, and you are rewarded for contributing. But the Shinkansen is, it goes through Japan, and it is a train route that everyone can take advantage of. So as you're connecting, this location up here to that location down there, you don't need to necessarily connect every little rail all the way down there. If you can get that one spot to the Shinkansen and let the Shinkansen take you across the map, then you just got to go from like an off point on that route down to your other route, and you've completed that route. Nice. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's a public route that everybody can use. The implementation of it's really good. The way the point and scoring works is excellent. And it's a good production of the game. I really like it. That's my number 4, Ticket to Ride Japan.
Excellent. I need to play that one.
For sure. Yeah. It is really good.
All right. My number 3 is Power Grid. Power Grid is a game all about connecting your cities and providing those cities with power. And the more cities that you can connect, the more power you can generate. This is a game kind of where the rich get richer, and it's very difficult. It's not impossible. It's all about resource management too. And that's where the fight occurs, is trying to take advantage of those resources. This is a game that we played over and over again when it first came out. Yeah. I love it because it also goes up to 6 players, and
should it?
It actually doesn't really affect it, I think, too much.
Yeah.
It balanced itself pretty well at the player count. We played it again recently, a couple of years back. It was one that I really wanted to play, and so we played it on my birthday. And
you wanted to play it, and so we played it on your birthday, and then you weren't even in that game.
No, I wasn't in that game.
Were you?
I think I was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was.
Oh, all right.
And maybe I wasn't. Now
the one where Logan
I wasn't in
complaining
it, was it?
the whole time. He was like, just put us out of our misery.
Yeah. Now I have to look at that because I don't know when the last time I played it.
Yeah, it's been a while. That was the one and only time I played Power Grid. I think that Power Grid is a game that wormed its way into many players' hearts when it first came out. I think it hit at the right time.
Yeah.
Right there. I don't think that there had been this big explosion I don't know if I can necessarily say that. It was just well timed for the game that it was. And it is a great route builder. I do think that it has a rich get richer mechanism that isn't reined in by some sort of catch up mechanism or device of any kind. At least the version that we played that day, that was definitely not the case. So that was my kind of big criticism of it. But it is a clever game. I think that it does some interesting things. And
I did play in that game, by the way.
If you like route building, it's a good game.
Yeah. No, and
So you were
yeah,
part
I
of
were
it.
in
Okay.
it. I were in it.
You were in it. Okay, great.
Me and my good English. But yeah, I have an affinity for this game because it is something that I played when it first came out. Played several of the maps. The new maps were always exciting to get it to the table. And this is back when Freedom Freese was, he still is a great designer, but I was like after all of his stuff for a long time. And but yeah, no, Power Grid is great and made it to my number 3.
Excellent. I like it. Andy's number 3 was Terra Mystica / Gaia Project. And I've only played Terra Mystica once, and it was a really long time ago. And I don't remember enough to know what the route building part of this was. But that's his number 3.
I can't remember it either. I mean, I've played Gaia Project. I played Gaia Project with the new expansion. And I've played Terra Mystica. I have Terra Mystica, the big box.
I mean, you're expanding out, right? Like you got to build routes to build your settlements or something. I can't remember. I probably shouldn't even guess because I just don't remember.
And Terra Nova, that's in that same, a softer version of it, a lighter version of it. No, I can't remember it enough.
We'll have Andy expand on it when at a future time when he can be here. My number 3 is a little game called Cloud City. I think that I actually think this is a pretty underrated game. Yeah. I think this is fun. First of all, insanely easy to set up. I mean, you pull it out of the box, you dump the big pieces of plastic into their little piles, and you shuffle up the tiles, and you're playing. You're playing the game. That's it. I really love the 3D aspect of this game. This is one where you pick a tile, and the tile it has different colors. So there's going to be either blue, green, or like a tan, like a brown. And it'll have 2 of those 2 colors. Those represent the buildings that you can put on it. The blue are a short building. The green are kind of a medium, and the tan are really tall. And so they're these big, thick, chunky plastic pieces that go down on these tiles. They feel fun, to play with and stuff. But you grab a tile, you put your cities down on it, or your towers. You put those down on it. And then what you're trying to do is create different lengths. So as you lay more of those out, you're spacing things out in such a way that there's going to be different distances between the different sizes of buildings. Right. And you're trying to connect them with little bridges, right? And the longer those bridges can span, the more points you'll get. The short bridges, not worth as many points. The longer bridges worth a lot more points. But what gets really fun about this game is you are building routes in 3D. You're thinking about, okay, what route is going on the top level, those top buildings? What route am I building on the medium level? And what route am I building on the small? Because obviously they can't clash. They can't run into each other. And so
your smaller buildings, your bridges can't go through the larger buildings. So it's all about laying that out correctly.
Yep. 100%. Cause you might think like, well, yeah, we could build a bridge, but then you're like, oh, I just put one of my big tan buildings right where that small building bridge would have spanned. And you got to think about that. So you're thinking about all that in 3D space. It's the routes and the heights of the building. I think this is a really fun game, and it plays fast because you build a relatively small, I think it's 12 tile. Yeah, it is. It's 12 tiles worth of stuff that comes down. And it may be 16, but I think it's just 12.
I think it's just 12.
Yeah. So you're on your turn, you're basically drafting one of those.
You can play with a bigger grid. You can do a 6.
I think you're right. I think you're right. But my point just being like you draft a tile, you put your buildings on it, and you complete routes if you can. Yeah. And then at the end of the end of the game, you just score up points for how many routes you were able to build.
Yeah. And you can put off scoring those routes but if you put it off, you do risk that somebody else can build it before.
Some of those routes, because the route, the bridges are a limited resource. Yeah. So if somebody else has used all of them up, guess what? You're SOL.
Yep.
I actually really do think that this is an overlooked and underrated game. I think it's great. I think anybody would have fun with this. Gamer, new player. I just think it's a great little game to play.
Yeah, Cheryl and I have played this game a ton. Haven't played it for a while. I haven't played it at all this year. So I need to maybe start some games of that. But,
I should break this one. I think it's been a little while for us too, but this is a great game.
Excellent. So your number 3, Cloud City, which brings back to my number 2, which is the same of Andy's number 4, and that is Planet Unknown. Planet Unknown, it's an interesting route building because you're not necessarily building a path of connecting one end to another. You are trying to put your tie rails. Wow. You are putting your terrain tiles, or as the kids call it, tie rails, to complete columns and rows on your planet. This we played this game when it first came out and had a blast with it. And then as we were teaching new people, it was always the kind of same experience. And it took a long time before we actually flipped over to that asymmetrical powers and the asymmetrical companies. And that made a great game phenomenal.
Yeah.
All the diversified ways to score on the planets, the unique setups, the unique restrictions, and the bonuses and the technology that you get with each company is just drastically different. And then combining them, there's ideal matches of planets and corporations, and then there are some that you just have to deal with.
Yeah. I love the asymmetry, but we've played this online quite a bit, and I've definitely picked some lineups, some corporations and planets that just
have fizzled.
Yeah, they were not good pairings.
Yeah, but this is such a great game that it is it's very much, you have the polynomial shapes that you're trying to put together. Each I can't even remember what I called it. Each terrain tile. No, whatever. Anyways, each terrain tile has 2 types of terrain that you're trying to also hopefully use those correctly to progress your technology tracks. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you have a citizen track, you have a bio track, and a water track, and rover track, and a technology track, civilian track. I'm
pretty sure. Yeah.
And
it's the black track.
It's the black track, yes. And I know there's civ buildings that you get, so I'm going to call it the civilian track. Each of those has bonuses that are going to allow you to bump up those tracks even further. They have individual bonuses that they're going to allow you to use different technologies. So much going on. This is a bigger box, so it intimidated my wife at first, but this is something that anybody can play, very quick to pick up and play.
Yeah.
And then you talk about the moon expansion that sets
super
up
moon.
The super moon.
Does that make them super tie rails?
Tie rails, that's the word. Yes, those are super tie rails because they're all double tie rails over there. So just two. Anyway, I've been derailed by my tie rails here, but Supermoon does add a whole new level to Planet Unknown, and then you have the lid that you can use, clips that you can 3D print that are worthwhile.
We don't need to talk about the lid again.
We don't need to talk about the lid. Okay, the lid's garbage.
It is garbage.
Well, the lid's not garbage. The application to use the lid.
Well, I mean, it's nice to have a lid, but yes, the lid is garbage. It doesn't snap. Oh, we're not talking about the lid. It's just dumb.
It's not about the nail.
Yeah. So, okay. I have a little bit of beef. Now I'm not trying to cast any shade. No intention of that at all. I love this game. I love Planet Unknown. I adore it. I think it's great. And I wish Andy was here because this was on his list too. And I wanted to pick both of your brains on this a little bit. What specifically is the route building part of this? Because I was thinking about this and I was like, it's a great game. You're laying out your polyominoes. You're trying to build the columns and rows, but like I was racking my brain. I was like, I don't know what the route part of this is.
It's pretty vague. So, I mean, your route building, you are trying to, you're using your rover to connect to the life pods. You're using the routes on some of the corporations. And so it's not a standard like Ticket to Ride. I'm moving from here to there. But the nuance of the route building is not your atypical route building game. Okay. But it is about connections, and those connections that you're making will allow you to progress other things. It is a vaguer?
Yeah, I like it.
It's a vaguer.
It's vaguer.
It's
a more vague version.
A more vague version.
I was pondering this. I actually was kind of, and I was like, well, maybe if you go more network, right? You're kind of building your network of similar tiles, but even that isn't like. It's really just those brown tiles that when they touch the others, they can copy energy, the abilities and stuff like that. The solar panel ones. So, all right, I will accept your vaguer answer. This is one that I struggled with just a little bit when I saw it on the list because I was like, I'm not sure what the route building is in that one, but I'll kind of buy it with the rovers. I'll give it to you with the rovers.
All right, the rovers did it. Yes.
Yeah. All right.
I can keep it on my list.
Excellent. I wasn't going to kick it off your list. I just was curious. Andy's number 2 was Underwater Cities. This is one that I definitely wish hit the table more often. I really like Underwater Cities. It's just been so long, and I'd have to do a full rules review on this.
I would too.
But it is a great game, and as I recall, the route building, every person has their own underwater city, and you definitely have to connect the different cities there with routes and how you pick. They're predetermined routes, but you have to build them. And
you have to build your tunnels and build your biodomes
and choosing where you want to go matters, as I recall. Yeah. I don't remember all the nuance of that, but great game.
I think there's a new expansion coming out this year.
Yeah.
Which
something data?
Data Era.
Data Era. That's right. So that's good. It's a great pick from Andy. That's his number 2. My number 2 is Trails of Tucana.
I like that.
Apparently, when it comes to route building, I like the more simple stuff, I think, a little bit. But Trails of Tucana, I think this is a great game, one that I highly recommend. This is a flip and right game, and you basically have an island. It has cities all around the outside and a bunch of resources in the middle. And you flip over cards. You flip over 2 of them, and they're going to have different terrain types on them. And you have to connect 2 of the whatever terrain types came out on those cards. That's what you have to try to connect anywhere on the board. And you can build it however you want. You can use whatever strategy you want to do stuff. But in the end, you are trying to connect all your cities to each other. Like they have A's and B's and C's, right? So you're trying to connect the A's to A's and B's to B's, so on and so forth. You're also trying to get resources back to cities, build routes that you can bring the resources back, because gaining those resources gives you more points and lets you build free roads, which is always really good. I think this is great. This one hits my table very frequently. In fact, when I go to a convention, when I travel, when we have new players over, this one, it's always with me, and this one hits the table on a pretty regular basis. I was really excited to pick up the little ferry expansion, which adds some new maps that have ferries on them, that kind of a route that connects to different parts of the island that are separated by water. Anyway, really like this. People should definitely go check it out. Trails of Tucana, it's great.
It is a great game. I very much like it. This is something I really wish. This really needs a BGA implementation, because it's a great game.
It does. That's truth.
That is truth. Preach on.
You just dropped a truth bomb.
I did. Kabooey. All right. So number 1, and we'll get to my number 1 now. So my number 1.
Good job. Let's do it.
Let's do it. My number 1 is Ticket to Ride Legacy, Legends of the West. And, we alluded when you were talking about Ticket to Ride that is kind of just one of those games that we have. Ticket to Ride Legacy has been phenomenal. And the exploration, and it is all still Ticket to Ride, right? You start on the East Coast, and as the game progresses, you're eventually expanding into all of the United States and to parts of Canada and Mexico. And actually, I don't know if we go into Mexico or not. I haven't gotten that far on our endeavors yet.
So far, it's just been the United States.
Yeah, but there's some Canada.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But this is nice because I have 2 copies of this, and I'm playing one with my family, and I'm playing one with my gamer friends, you, Doug, and Andy, and James, and Brad. We're all getting that to the table, having a great time with that. And it is interesting to see how both games have kind of gone a different way. And playing it, there's no like really outstanding information that gets spoiled that makes one game less fun or gives me an advantage in one game over the other.
So you say.
So I say, yes. And
as you thoroughly trounced us on the last one, I believe.
Just the last one, though. I think that's the first one I've won. And I don't think I've won one in the other group either. I'll have to pull out my app and check that out. But yeah, the story has gone outstandingly well with this Ticket to Ride Legends of the West. And and
let's be honest about that, because to me, because I love it too.
Yeah.
I don't really know story, whatever. I'll tell you what it is. It's the way that every section of the rail, it starts in the east and you're moving west.
Yeah.
For the most part. And it's as the map expands and then the new stuff that gets introduced to the game with every expansion into new territory. And it's all very thematic, right? Yep. Like, I think at the end of the game, the last one we played, we just uncovered, what was it? Like the Ghost Lands or something like that. And now there's
Ghost Train.
The Ghost. Yeah. And there's like going to be a Ghost Train.
No spoilers.
Oh yeah. That's true. Dang it. I've totally spoiled it. Now everyone's going to be like, no, that's it. Now we know there's a Ghost Train and we're never going to play Ticket to Ride Legacy
play it again.
Yeah, sorry. I guess that is kind of a spoilery thing to say. But my point is just that as you move across the map, the stuff that it reveals is very thematic and feels very fun. So you talk about story. There is a story, but I couldn't really tell you 100% what it is.
Mama O'Connell.
Yeah, Mama O'Connell. You're just trying to build your rail empire, right?
Yeah.
And it's good. I really like it.
Yeah, it is something that we talked about that in the past. The story just isn't memorable, right? But the story still progresses the game, and I think it does great. I think it's needed for sure, and it's there.
Yeah, you do need it, and that is absolutely true.
Okay, I have won 3 times out of all the games I have played.
There it is.
And so my win percent is 25%.
Excellent. Well, good for you. I'm definitely not winning.
No, although you've won 2.
Although but I've also been like fairly solid in my games. Like I haven't had blowout games. Like I've had good scores for the most part. And I'm also tucking a lot of stuff into that like in-game scoring slot, which I'm excited about.
Office?
Yeah, into the office.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think overall you're doing well, feels like.
Yeah, we'll see how it shakes out. It's just fun to play. And I've really enjoyed it every time we have. So great pick. And like I kind of said when we talked about Ticket to Ride, I do think this is the best version of Ticket to Ride out there.
Absolutely.
For sure.
I like how it pulls little things from this expansion or from this version, and throws it in there. I haven't seen any double-decker buses yet or any taxis, but
we might not see those.
Yeah. But you got things from the Europe expansion that are showing up. There's just little nuances that are here and there that and then there is theme that is pulled in from the Old West. So
I do like it.
Yeah, I highly recommend it as a game that is enjoyable.
Excellent. Andy's number 1 is Empire Builder. Not a game I've played.
Nope, but he and Sabrina have played it a lot and very much enjoy it.
Great. I
played it for days, they say.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he talks about how this was one that got set up and left for a long time.
Some story that they played it while they were on the road. I'm not quite sure how that worked out, but
okay.
But yeah, they were driving.
Good for them.
Playing, and she was holding the board.
They were building routes on the route.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Wow. Game within the game, the inception right there.
Incredible.
I strongly recommend that you do not play games while driving your car.
Yeah, we don't condone that. That's not our Meeple Nation recommendation
at all.
All right, excellent. That will move us to my number 1. My number 1 is In the Hall of the Mountain King. Again, a game that I absolutely adore and love. I think this is a fantastic game. I think more people need to check it out. I do think it's a little unknown and a little underrated for what it is. I do think people liked it. I mean, it's a well-rated and unliked game, but it was a Kickstarter game and it needed to make just a little bit more. Actually, maybe it was the sequel that was a Kickstarter. I'm not sure if this one was or not.
I think the sequel was a Kickstarter.
But anyway, it's just a game that I think needed to have made just a little bit more splash. The route building this is really fun. You're basically different clans of trolls, and you are building tunnels in through the mountain. And it's cool because what you want to do is you want to kind of build in toward the mountain, right? You've got a lot of resource rich area on the outside of the mountain, but you're going to score higher points for building routes and like caverns in more toward the heart of the mountain. But that becomes harder to mine and harder to navigate. But you're essentially trying to build in toward the heart. And as you're going along, if you can carve out large enough spaces, you can create, caverns isn't quite the right word, but you can create large rooms, right? Within
chambers.
So, yeah. Chambers. Sure. So you not only have these paths, but you also have these big chambers that you're creating. And then within those chambers, you're going to create like little pedestals for idols. And so on top of building your route, you're also trying to move these pedestals through your maze and connections in order to put them up on pedestals. I think this is a great game. I really do. It has a really cool mechanism too, where you have like your troll moot kind of thing, like where it's like your little army of trolls that you're building, and you build them in a pyramid. And every time you add one, the resources cascade. So it's like the grunts down at the bottom get a new boss, and the boss whips them into shape, and they all produce a bunch of resources. And then another one comes along and whips those into, and then those bosses get a big boss that comes out and whips like everything, right? Whips them into shape, and then they whip, and it just chains together. And anyway, you get these big cascades of resources. I think it's an awesome game. And it's one that I wish we played. I did teach this at Andy's house. It's been a couple of years ago, but it's one that I want to play again.
I haven't played it since when it first came out. Our friend Will from Washington brought it to SaltCon, and so I got to play it while we were at SaltCon. And so I haven't played it since then. So it's been a long time.
Yeah, it is a good game.
It is a good game.
Excellent components, by the way. The deluxe components are awesome. Wood pieces and metal pieces and plastic. It's really good.
Excellent. All right, so that completes our top 5. All 3 of us.
Thanks, Andy. Oh, wait.
Just shy under an hour.
We tried.
But
tried too much.
Yeah, that's good times. So that is it. We are done. So next week we're going to talk about some games that we don't own necessarily.
The ones that didn't make the cut.
Yeah.
Or haven't yet made the cut. Or
haven't yet. And maybe some games that we just felt that we missed. And it's kind of a sum up episode. We're going to sum up this networking and route building conversation.
Until next time.
We'll see you bringing the pieces together, making your own route at the game table.
Thank you for listening and being a part of Meeple Nation. If you would be so kind as to follow, subscribe, share, and rate or review this podcast, it really helps to spread the fun. You can be more involved in supporting the podcast by joining the nation at patreon.com/MeepleNation, or you can find a link at the top of our webpage, meeplenation.com. And while you're there, look at all our extra content. There are links to all our past episodes, a wide variety of blogs, pictures from our Instagram feed, and bios for all the hosts and our awesome bloggers. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all under Meeple Nation. If you would like to chat with the hosts or other members of the nation, you can join our Facebook group, Meeple Nation Off Air. We hope to see you again at a game night, a con, or maybe a suspense-driven evening of Werewolf. Thank you for listening and supporting Meeple Nation, and stay tuned for next week's episode.
Thank you so much for listening. We very much want to thank our patrons who help keep the podcast running. I personally want to thank my co-hosts for all the help they provide with both content here on the podcast, in addition to what we have available on our website. Without them, the podcast would not happen. If you too would like to support the podcast, you can join the nation at patreon.com/Meeple_nation. Or you can find a link to Patreon at the top of our webpage, meeplenation.com. If you have any questions, comments, or games you feel should be on our radar, you can always reach us at meeplenation@gmail.com. We can't wait to hear from you. I am grateful to Doug and Andy who helped me edit episodes, And I want to thank James and Kim Clark, who do the editing on our blogs and on our webpage, which can be found at meeplenation.com. We want to thank Brain Detergent for our music. If you want to find more from him, you can follow his links that can be found on our webpage, or simply search for Brain Detergent on YouTube to find more of his tracks. Thank you again for listening and being part of the Meeple Nation community.